Thanks for tuning in to Women Who Open Doors, a podcast dedicated to lifting the voices of incredible women in our communities who not only excel in their careers, but inspire us through their actions for others. Hi, I'm Julie Collins, owner and coach of Not Magic, and it's my honor to help share the stories of these remarkable women. So without further ado, welcome to Women Who Open Doors. Welcome to Women Who Open Doors. I am super excited today to have with me Marjorie Rucker. And let me tell you a little bit about Marjorie before we get into our wonderful conversation. So Marjorie Rucker is the executive director of the Business Council, a membership organization that helps ethnically diverse businesses here in Wisconsin grow through supply chain participation and collaboration. And to date, Business Council members have generated over $400 million in business with corporations throughout Wisconsin. Marjorie is also widely involved in her community, serving on many boards in Wisconsin, bringing her over 17 years of community and economic development in Milwaukee. I actually call her an angel. And she is currently the chair of the Ethnic and Diverse Business Coalition, which consists of 15 chambers of commerce and revolving loan funds throughout Wisconsin, committed to helping ethnic and diverse businesses thrive. She's earned her bachelor's degree in history from Mount Mary University in 2000 and her Juris Doctorate from Vermont Law School in 2003. So Marjorie, welcome to Women in Open Doors, first of all. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now that bio, first of all, is a mouthful. Just the accolades that you also have in there. First of all, I'm just honored to have you on with us. And we've had personal interaction on some different events and such with some great businesses here in Milwaukee. So I'm just super excited to talk to you today and have our audience learn a little bit more about all the impact that you've had here in Milwaukee. So thanks again for joining me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Julie. I was super excited when you reached out to me to do this. So thank you.
And it's your birthday week. We were just talking about that. It's your birthday week. So happy belated birthday, a couple days late.
Thank you. It's all good. I appreciate it.
So, I mentioned the bio, huge bio, a mouthful to even read and make sure that I describe the impact. But can you boil it down a little bit more for our listeners as to really what your role and your work here in Wisconsin is, so people understand it?
Yes. So I am the executive director, as you said, of an organization called the Business Council. The Business Council is a 23-year-old organization. So we started back in 1998 with the sole purpose of helping ethnic businesses, so minority businesses, access supplier diversity initiatives throughout the state. So back then, and even today, there are always MBEs that hear about, and when I say MBEs, I mean minority business enterprises, that always want to do business with large corporations or with the state or the county or the city, and they don't really understand or know the process that they have to engage in to be able to make those connections successfully. When I say successfully, right, I mean like being able to approach them, knowing how to approach them, knowing how to get into their, vendor systems, and how to basically do their pitch, right? How to really articulate what it is that you do and the value that you're bringing to the entity that you want to work with. Working with some of those corporate partners that want to be engaged and want to diversify their vendors, right? And when I mean diversify, with minority vendors or diverse vendors, right? LGBTQ, veteran owned, women owned, right? And being able to really kind of bridge that conversation and that gap, if you will, with the work that they're doing internally at their organizations, and how we can be better partners to make sure that we're making the connection between those highly qualified MBEs and those entities. So we really, in a nutshell, just try to create a win-win situation through the business.
Yeah.
And we've been tracking. So you talked about that $400 million number. That's since 2005. So every year we ask our members and our corporate partners, who have they done business with within our membership, and what has the amount of that business been? So we're able to actually see who's doing business with whom, where there's growth, where there's room for improvement, and then going back and having those conversations to make sure that we're continuing to make that number larger and larger.
You
So,
really are a power connector, right?
yeah.
A power connector of businesses.
Yes, absolutely. That is absolutely what I do all day, every day. So, within the business council, that's what we do. And we really try to find opportunities in which the businesses can fit. A lot of
Mhm.
times a business will say, I can do these things and I know I can do it, but we have to level set that expectation and say, yes, you can do it, but this is the right size contract for you, and then work
Mm.
to find that
Mhm.
opportunity, in the hopes that it will, generate a business relationship. We don't guarantee business relationships. We can't.
Sure.
All we can do is make the introductions, stand behind that business that is there, because we know that we've, kind of coached them through the process. And then also making sure that the companies feel good when they meet this business. And, then they just start establishing their relationship from there.
Yeah. So how do you curate these relationships? Like, are people coming to you, Marjorie, or is it, you're seeking out certain businesses that you've identified, and then obviously on both sides of the house? How does that connection get made?
Yeah, that's a great question. So both ways, like you just said, some people will call and say, hey, I'm looking to do business with, sometimes it's a specific company, or, companies within a certain industry vertical. And I say, okay. And then, I'll ask them some questions, kind of see where they're at. And then if they need to go through our module, which is our main programming,
Hmm.
where I talked about, kind of helping the MBEs to get what it is they need and learn how to engage, then that's what we do. So, we get them that way. I've had corporate partners talk to me and say, hey, we have these businesses that we want to work with. They need the education, right? Can you kind of take them through your process? So we've gotten businesses that way. So it's really just kind of where we fall in the spear. My job is to
Yeah.
make sure that people know what we do, and then to be able to capture those businesses and those companies. Sometimes I'm cold calling, right? If I need to
Mhm.
find a certain type of company, let's say a manufacturing company, or a company that I know will, does contracting, or I assume they do
Mhm.
contracting, within a certain industry. Let's say, for example, IT, because that's always the big one, right? Finding those companies and then, making those connections. So we make connections, we, build the capacity of the businesses, and we just have real honest conversations about how we can do this work better together.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What an important, I mean, just the mission and the work of that. Do you have like a team of people? I've never asked you that. Do you have a team of people, or are you it,
I'm,
Marjorie? Are
I'm
you the
it.
team?
I'm it right now. I will have a team, so it is no
Okay.
secret to some. But I will, disclose that, the Department of Administration about a month ago, did an allocation of funding to entities within the Ethnic and Diverse Business Coalition, as well as outside of the coalition, so that we could really do our part to help with the economic recovery that's going on as a result of
Mhm.
COVID,
Right.
and, right, the historical barriers that most minority businesses have faced in the past. So I am literally an army of one. So, yeah, so I'm it.
A one woman show.
One,
And
literally,
do you
literally.
always work, Marjorie? Are you just always working? Is that your
I feel like I am, but I am learning balance. So that
Yeah.
means that if I'm up, in the morning, and I'm up at them early, when my body starts kind of, shutting down, and I know it because I'm a little slower to respond to an email, or I start doing something else, I'll just check out for a little bit. And then, if I have to come back to something, I will, or I'll just look at it and say, it'll be there tomorrow. And then I get up and I'm at it again.
Yeah.
So I do feel like I'm always working, and I probably am, but I do find some time to decompress when I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've just made such a huge impact. And, I know you left a couple of these things out of your bio, but we did little research and you were awarded the Milwaukee Business Journal Women of Influence, correct?
Yes, that is
In
correct.
20. So
Yeah,
congratulations on that. That's a
thank
very
you.
select and tell me about that experience for you because here's who I believe Marjorie is. You are a very humble individual who's making just a ginormous impact here in southeastern Wisconsin. So, how did that feel to you to be awarded that award, and what did that feel like to
Yeah,
you?
it was pretty amazing. I mean, I've worked in, community and economic development for a really, really long time. A very good friend and peer of mine that works, with one of the bids and community economic development organizations, actually nominated me, and her focus
Okay,
is on workforce and whatnot, right? But she was like,
sure.
I really think I'm going to apply. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, it'll be like any other awards program. I won't, get anything from it, but they have
Yeah.
my application and that's great. But everybody worked together and submitted those letters of support. And it was just surreal, and it was so cool because Kira from the Business Journal actually set up a call and she like got on and she's like, you've been awarded. I'm like, oh my God. And
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it was just really, really great because I mean, we were like, smack dab in the middle of COVID, but just being able to, see and talk to her and hear that, it was pretty cool. It was pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
It's always great to get recognized, but something
Right.
that distinguished is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
shout out to Kira. She's been on our podcast
yeah,
and we love her as
yeah,
well. And we hope she's enjoying retirement right now.
exactly.
Because the
Well
in her
earned
RV,
retirement.
right?
A
Well
very well
deserved.
earned retirement. Yes.
Well deserves. Yeah, well deserved for sure. Well, take us back a little bit in the history, right? Because I read in your bio to everyone that you history degree,
Yes.
law degree,
Mhm.
now to where you are today. What made you pivot, or what made you seek something different instead of law? I
Yeah.
guess.
That's a great question. So I went to Mount Mary. Obviously, I graduated. Like you said, I had the history degree. I was a few credits short of my poli sci minor, but that's okay. And I was sure when I went to law school, I would catch up and it would be fine.
Yeah.
So right after college, I went to law school. After my first year of law school, I knew that I didn't want to practice because I saw many of my peers at the time. They were like literally running around like and it was just a race, right? And I don't know if it
Okay.
was because I was tired of undergrad or I was just like
Sure.
this pressure isn't necessary to get accomplished what we need to get accomplished. But it was literally like, some of the movies that you see where they talk about like first year law students or law students in general, all of it's true. Like, I mean, it was just a rat race. Now, this.
Yeah.
Then when I learned, that most attorneys, especially young ones, when they graduate and they start working at firms, especially some of the larger ones, they're working 70, 80, 90 hours a week.
Mhm.
And by the time they start enjoying life, they're in their 50s and their 60s. And I'm like, I don't want that kind of life. So
Right.
I went and talked to my counselor at that time. They give you like a guidance counselor, right? And I said, I like law school and I think it's great.
Mhm.
What else can I do with this degree? Because I don't want to practice. So I went to Vermont Law School. Shout out to Vermont Law School. And Vermont Law School is a teeny tiny school in the teeny tiny state of Vermont, number one progressive state in the nation, though. And after my first year, I was like, I don't want to practice. So I talked to my guidance counselor. My guidance counselor said, look, Marjorie, most of your peers are going to burn out within 5 years anyway. So you're kind of ahead of the curve. So you can do a lot of things with
Mm.
your law degree. You just need to kind of decide where you want to pursue opportunities. And then we can start aligning you with said opportunities to help you move forward. So before I went to law school, just to back up, I knew I always wanted to impact the community and make it
Yeah.
better, right? I was raised in Milwaukee. I've gone to MPS. I went to college here in Wisconsin. At that time, I knew some of the struggles, but I didn't really understand or know why. But I knew I wanted to
Sure.
make a difference. So when I graduated from law school, I started or stumbled upon a job in community and economic development with a firm at the time called Heartland Information Research with Don and Kate Hill. And what they were working on is a study with the city of Milwaukee, actually with Milwaukee Economic Development Corp. And I was in charge of coordinating the businesses and, kind of doing some of the research or synthesizing that research, right? Because I had this fancy law degree. So I was supposed to start at putting together data. So I did that. And then they actually introduced me to some of the community partners like the Urban Economic Development
Oh,
Association, and others, and said, hey, we got this cool student that's here. We think she would be a great fit for the ecosystem here in Milwaukee. So I actually started working for UETA. And then, from there, I just, kept doing really cool things. So I worked at the King Drive Business Improvement District for
awesome.
about 6 years. I was the main street manager there. And then I was the interim executive director until they found someone else. I went to LISC where I was for almost 2 years. And then I transitioned to the Business Council where I've been ever since.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So what about this work, right? You knew you needed to make an impact, but what about the work that you're doing today is really inspiring for you that keeps you, moving and grooving with this work? What about it is inspiring?
I think it's just seeing like what I've been working on, whether it's been for years or months, to really see it come to fruition and to positively impact our community. Right. So, I don't get the accolades for doing the work because I don't. I make the connection. I tell people what they need to do. It's up to that business to do it. Right. Or
Hmm.
community partner or whomever. But, being able to use my skills and really help connect dots and create synergies and collaborations that can be good for a whole community, not just a section of it, is really what just keeps me going and working those long hours with no help.
Yeah, for sure. So, if there is a minority business or even on the other side, a corporation, what's the advice, that you give to them? Let's maybe start with the minority business. What's your advice to them to get involved or, make these connections? Like if they hear this broadcast, what would be your advice to them to get either prepared or how do they connect to
Mhm.
you? What's the best method of that?
Yeah, so I would say definitely give me a call, especially if you have questions about who to connect to or you've been working on something and you're just trying to figure out how to go
Yeah.
through that. Because I think sometimes it can just be a conversation. If they do
Mhm.
feel there's a value in membership, they can always join the business council.
Mhm.
And my email address is M as in Mary, so MRUCKER, so M Rucker at MMAC.org, or they can call our office at 414-287-4172. I'm not readily available all the time, but I'm willing to make appointments with people. And I do follow up eventually. I can't turn it around in 24 hours all the time. I level set the expectation. At this
Right,
task,
right.
I'll be fine.
Mhm.
So if a business calls me and I cannot, meaning the business council cannot help them, because I am a part of the Ethnic and Diverse Business Coalition, I know all of the partners that work within the ecosystem, right? The business ecosystem
Mhm.
to help them develop and grow. So if they call me and say, I'm having this issue, I listened to the podcast, can you help me? If I
Mhm.
can't, I say, you know what, I can't help you, but I think these partners
Mm.
within Milwaukee's business ecosystem would be the best for you to call and connect to, and tell them these are the things that you need. And I do that
Mhm.
all of the time. So that's kind of where it is. I'm very niche in what we do at the Business Council,
Mhm.
because I'm really taking those existing businesses and helping them to really scale and grow. So I don't do anything around like the startup businesses or new businesses, but there's always a process of navigation. So I'm really, really good about saying, okay, let's take a step back. I'm going to have you go here or call these people and they should be able to help you. And that's the value I can provide on that.
So on that, is there a good size of company that typically connects with you? where you can connect to others? You said not really the startup or things like that. Is
Yeah.
there maybe a profile of the right kind of people that should be contacting Marjorie?
Yeah, so I would say if you're a minority owned business, that's the profile.
Hmm.
Size does not matter. Years in
Okay.
business does. So
Okay.
businesses that are usually 2 to 3 years old
Okay.
are good, and 2 to 3 years solid. So like if you were doing it as a hobby, but you're looking to scale up, you're probably not going to be the best fit for me right now. You need a little
Yeah.
bit more time to really be working your business full time. But once you do, give it a couple of years, you could definitely come to me and then we could try. So that's the profile, but we don't have like, number of employees or any of that.
Okay.
Most of the business council's members, fun fact, have 3 to 4 employees and they're making millions
Really?
of dollars a year. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's really, and sometimes, and it really just depends on the industry, the contract, right? And all of that stuff. Some of our larger businesses do have more employees, right?
Hmm.
I think my largest business last time I got profiles, I think it was like 45
Wow.
employees. So I
Yeah.
mean, still, we work with small businesses,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
yeah, so it's really just based on the business and what they do. But yeah, we don't say you got to make $500,000 or anything like that. There's a certain level of fitness. When I talk to them, I kind of know where they are, what
Sure.
they can do, and then we say, okay, this is where your strength lies, and we can work with this, or let's go back, help you build your business, make you some other connections, and then you can come back and
Mhm.
participate in the supplier diversity module.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you see most businesses that you interact with struggling? Where do you find them? What's the common thread where you see them struggling, even when they come to you?
Yeah, I think the common thread that I find is that when they come, it's always like it needs to happen right then, or it should have happened
Mm.
yesterday, right?
Sure, sure.
And so I think that's the common thread. But when I tell you that each business is unique and different, and they all have the same, similar or different issues, they do. So it's really based on the phase of that business. Everybody says they always need more money, right? And yes, you do. Your businesses, that's what
Right.
you depend on to live. But I think that there is a way to go about it, which is, whether it's helping you to build new business, so getting you new clients,
Hmm.
or if it's, finding you access to capital so that you can invest in a new piece of equipment or a building of your own or whatever. So, like I
Hmm.
said, most of the time when businesses come to me when they need it, or they needed it like yesterday, but it's for us to figure out and find the best and quickest solution to solve that problem.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Marjorie, one of the things that I love about this podcast is not just because I have super cool guests on it, but I get a lot of feedback from people that say, thank you for doing this because it helps inspire me to maybe take a leap or take a risk in areas that I are maybe not comfortable. And it's not just women that listen. So offer some of your advice around, more of this. I'm a woman. I'm in a very strong leadership position.
Mhm.
And I would imagine you took some leaps of faith as
Yeah.
well along the process, and maybe just give some bits of advice around that, this leap of faith in your career as things have moved forward to help our listeners.
Yeah, I would say leaps of faith are always scary because you don't know where it's going to land, right? And if you're a business owner, that leap of faith could literally be your, next meal, right? Or whatnot.
Mhm.
But you still need to do it. If you think that there is some potential there, and I would say just be really strategic. That's how I do my work, right? Study. I think a lot of times people just go in to something without doing their homework, right? Do
Mhm.
your homework, study. And if there's something you don't know, reach out to somebody that you think might know or that can help you and kind of set you on the right path, right? But really look at it like I always say a business is like a new baby, Okay. So you
Mhm.
have to give that business everything you have because that business cannot do anything on its own, right? But then
Mhm.
the baby starts or the business starts to crawl, right? So it can do some things, but it still needs all of your attention, all of your support. You got to wear 5 hats to get it where it needs to be, right? Then it starts to walk. Then it starts to, run around and then it starts growing, right?
Mhm.
Look at your
Mhm.
business the same way. I tell entrepreneurs all the time when they call me and they say, well, I say, why did you start your business? Well, I wanted more flexibility and time. And I'm like, you didn't start a business because if you started a business, you wouldn't even that wouldn't even be part of your dialect, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that people need to understand how hard it is, but that it's doable, number one,
Mhm.
and that you have the support that you need because literally you just had another baby. And
Mhm.
you need to take care of it as such. And when you do, that's what's going to help it grow. So, your babysitters or people like me and others, right, that can kind of say, okay, this is what your baby needs, or this is what you need to do, and really just be transparent and open. A lot of times, entrepreneurs are embarrassed or they feel like they're going to be judged because they
Mhm.
haven't done something maybe when they should have done
Mhm.
it or when they thought they should have done it. And that is not what our role is. Our role is to help you through whatever. So the other thing I would say is don't be afraid of being judged or what other people are
Mhm.
going to think. This is about your livelihood, your business, or even if it's your career, it's about what you need to help you be successful. So I think just getting out of your head about it sometimes is helpful as well because I stay in my head, so I know that other people do as well. And when you're building a
Amen. Amen.
yeah, yeah, you can't do that. Ask for the help, be transparent
Yeah.
about what you think you need, and have a conversation with a trusted source of people that can help you get where you want to be. And know that money doesn't solve all problems. That's the other thing. A lot of people say, I just need more money. Money's not going to solve your problem. You
Mhm.
need a solid book of business. And when you
Yeah.
have a solid book of business, the money is going to come. So let's build you a solid book of business and get you in a place where you can do that.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, and I have watched even, with the start of our business, we're almost 3 years old, but just the community in Milwaukee, there is something special here
Yeah.
and in Wisconsin, right? There's something special about the support from
Mhm.
multiple things, from multiple entities, from multiple people that don't even know each other. It's been really surprising, grateful, right, for that experience, but it's not just small walkie, it's really about people connecting on a much different level than I would guess, I guess, in other communities. It's just really strong here, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, and I would say that we haven't done the best job, meaning technical assistance
Mhm.
providers, of kind of getting the word out there about what we
Yeah,
do. That will change, right? Because, when you're a business owner, you don't really know where to go for what. You
right.
know that there are things out there because you hear people talking about it, but where are they going to get it, right? And you should
Mhm.
talk to 5 or 6 people to get what you need, right? Or to get to the right person because you're wearing 5 other hats with this baby you got, right? You don't need
Right.
to,
Yeah.
do the thinking for it too.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
so, I know that myself and many of my peers that were awarded, those funds will do a better job of really communicating the value that they offer and what they do and the populations that they serve. But, at the same time, you know, you got to connect, you got to reach out, right? And just find
Mhm.
those people. The one good thing about small walkie and the state really is we don't even have 6 degrees of separation. We have like 3, if that.
Right.
So
Right.
people aren't
Mhm.
hard to find. You just got to
Right.
find those people, and you just have to ask the questions and be
Yeah.
specific, and again, not worry about being judged because you're looking
Right.
for something very nuanced.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's very true, very true. So Marjorie, when you actually get some downtime, what does downtime look for you? What do you love to do when you're not sitting at that desk chair?
Yeah, I think that I like to binge watch shows. So I'm
Awesome.
always trying to find. I actually have a list of shows
See?
that people watch, and I add it to the list, right? And then when I get to it, I give it a look. So definitely doing that. I do have a parrot. She didn't want to be on the podcast today. I tried to
I
bring
was
her
going to
up.
ask.
Yeah.
I was going to ask.
And so, I hang out with her, and, we do fun things that, only a bird lover and their bird do. So, whether that's play, whether that's just sit and, look at me like, what is the human doing? And I want to be engaged in that process, whatever that is. I do that as well. And then just really trying to have good quality time with friends, right? It's not something that I have a lot of time to do. They don't either, right? Because everybody's busy outside of work. There's families, there's other obligations. So, of course we have to respect that. But, I really do try to be intentional about gathering and spending quality time with individuals, that I get along with, that are friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So your parrot's name is Fifi, right? Did I get that right?
Yes, her name is Fiona, but we call her Fifi.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So Fifi is her culturally relevant name, is what I say. So she answers to it. She's in there beeping now because she hears me calling her. So she can't hear her because she's a little small. But she's in there answering like, "Are you calling me?" But yes, Fifi is the little parrot, and she loves to play, and she's super
awesome,
inquisitive. Yeah, she always wants to know what's going on.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. That's awesome. That's terrific. Well, we ran out of time. It's already 30 minutes. It went super fast, right? So, but I knew my conversation would go very quickly with you. And I said at the very beginning in your little bio that you are an angel to this community. And just from the brief conversations and the brief interactions I've had with you, I could feel it. So I just want to, on behalf of Milwaukee and small businesses, we thank you for all of the work that you've done that has impacted so many, not just minority businesses, but impacted the community, which I think is, super relevant, but also I'm just grateful for, to even have met you. So thank you for being on today, but thank you for everything that you've done for our community. I really, 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 truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me. Again, I was super ecstatic. I always get the invitation to do a lot of things, and I'm kind of like, depending on the schedule and what's going on. But I just thank you guys for having me. It is my pleasure to serve my community. And I would just want everybody to know that, even though it does get exhausting, it's tiring, and there's a lot of minutia that goes into doing the work. I really am just truly honored to serve my community and make those positive impacts in the city. So thank you.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we have. Are there inspirational women leaders in your life? Recommend them for this podcast by emailing me at jcollins@knot-magic.com and telling me why they're the perfect person to be featured. And please leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts to help us share these amazing women with others.